Today what we're doing is section 2.4, and this is deductions and net pay. So what are deductions? Deductions are those nasty little things on your paycheck where they take the money from you. So if you work a job where you get paid $10 an hour and you work 20 hours, you don't get $200 at the end. The government takes a little bit, maybe some other people take a little bit, and those are deductions, that little bit that keeps coming off. So what we're going to learn today is this, your learning intentions. Number one, to learn which deductions from your pay are not taxable. So the government takes tax from you, but they might not tax the whole $200. They might say that, well, some of those other people that took money, we don't want to tax that, so they don't. Next, you're going to calculate the amount of deductions. So if a deduction maybe for tax is 10% of your pay, how much is that? And lastly, you're going to calculate your net income. And what is net income? Net income is how much you actually get in your pocket. So of that $200 you earned, how much do you actually get is the net income. And there's one more thing in this chapter, but it's not really covered in your book. I'm going to do a separate lesson for that. And deductions are the things that come off of your paycheck. So here are some of them. Union dues. If you are in a union, the union takes a little bit of your paycheck so that they can run the union, so that they can defend you if they need, so that if you go on strike, they can give you a little bit of pay, things like that. There is company pension. So pension is money being put away now so that when you retire, you get a bit more. And what they find is that the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, which everyone collects as being a Canadian citizen, isn't enough to live on. So company pension is when a company goes together, you put a little bit of your own money in, the company puts some of their money in, and the money collects over time, and then you get that money back when you retire. A little bit each year, that's your pension, it's what you live off of. CPP, I mentioned, was Canadian Pension Plan. EI. EI is employment insurance. If you lose your job for a reason that can't really be helped. So if you're fired, too bad, you don't get EI, you got fired. But if you got laid off because there's not enough work, or if you can't work because you have a baby, and so for 1 year you can go on maternity leave, employment insurance will pay you a little bit of money while you're not able to work. So you lose some of your paycheck to this, every paycheck. To this, you lose pay a little bit to each paycheck. With these two, it depends. If you're in a union, yes. If you're not, then no. Company pension plan, not every company does. Then there's other. Some companies have other deductions. Maybe you have a deduction where a little bit of money goes towards staff gatherings. Maybe there's one that goes to a coffee fund. There may be one that goes to a gift fund so that when someone at your work has a baby or gets married, the staff gives a gift out of the gift fund. Those are other types of deductions. And then the big two are provincial tax. So you pay HST, GST, PST, all these taxes. Well, guess what? When you work, you pay more tax. So the province, when you get paid your $200 I was talking about at the start, the province says, we want some of that. So they take some. Federal tax, federal is the Canadian government, they also say, oh, you got money? We want some. So they go and they get that money. In the long run, I guess tax is necessary. I get paid from tax. The school you're in is taxed. The road you drive on is taxed. The hospital you go to, the doctors are paid by tax. The building for the hospital, the equipment in the hospital, paid for by tax. The roads you drive on, police, fire departments, all these things are paid for by taxing. So tax isn't terrible, it's necessary. Okay? So these are the deductions you may have to deal with. Now, the first learning intention was which deductions are not taxable. So let's say the provincial tax, I actually don't know, but I'm just going to make this up. Let's say it's 7% of your income goes to provincial tax, and maybe 13% of your income goes to federal tax. Well, just to be a little bit fair, what they do is the federal, before they say, oh, you made $200, we're going to take 13% of it. Before they do that, they say, well, if you're paying union dues, it's not fair to tax that. And they say, if you're paying a pension, it's not fair to tax that because you're not getting that money. We can't take more because you're not even getting it. So non-taxable for these two before you ever calculate these two. Non-taxable, or sorry, let's look at taxable income. So that what can be taxed is income minus, you're not going to get taxed for either of these first two, okay? So, before you ever calculate tax, this is going to come up, 100% guaranteed this is going to be on your exam. It'll be on the test I give you, for sure. Before you calculate any tax, take off these two. So income minus union dues and also minus company pension. So before you ever calculate how much you're getting taxed, it's your amount you make, your income, minus these first two, then go ahead and calculate how much you're getting taxed. And we'll look at that in an example coming up. But first, what is taxable income? What can be taxed? Taxable income, what can be taxed, is your income minus union dues minus company pension. Okay. And I guess one thing I mentioned at the start of the video too was, how do we calculate these things exactly? Well, there's some charts and tables that I'm going to show you coming up in the future. But for today, we're just going to be working on percents. They might say you get taxed 7% or 13%. Today I'm going to give you two examples. The first one will be a simple one where I've given you the amounts already. So this question says you earn $20 per hour and you work 80 hours. So let's say that's 2 weeks, 40 hours 1 week, 40 hours next. Your deductions include $23.60 for EI, $31.15 for CPP, provincial tax $122.10, federal tax $205.60. And the question, what is your net income? You must know what net income is. Net income is how much money you actually get to have. So first, what does your company pay you? Well, in this question, you're working $20 per hour for 80 hours. So you made 20 times 80. You made $1,600. And that's called your gross income. Gross income is how much the company owes you or how much they're giving for the work you've done. This question, though, wants your net income. And your net income is how much you actually get in your pocket. So, how much you actually get in your pocket? Well, for this question, we have to take away all of these deductions because EI says, hey, out of that $1,600, you don't get all that. We want $23.60. CPP says we want $31.15. And then the two taxing organizations, they each want their money. So your deductions, you will need to add all of these up to see how much money they're taking from you. So for this, I'm going to try to do this in my head. So I got $1.45 in the change. I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 2, 5, 6, 7. And I've got 3. So I've got $378.45. Sorry, this is my little math I was doing up here. $378.45. I apologize if I made a mistake. That is how much you don't get. These are your deductions because everyone wants a chunk of your money. So now what is your net income? Your net income is how much money you actually get. So how much money do you actually get? You don't get the $1,600. You get the $1,600 minus the amount they're going to take from you. So you are going to get $1,221.55. Let me just make sure I did that right. Looks good. And that is your net income. So, even though you worked 80 hours for $20 an hour, you don't get all the money you make because everyone wants a piece. And again, that sounds biased, but these are all good things. This is making sure people who aren't working have a little bit of money. when they're not working for a good reason. CPP, making sure that people who are retiring over the age of 67 now, making sure they have a little bit of money to spend because they're not able to work. Provincial tax, that's paying for education, roads, things like that. Federal tax, making sure that you have health care, and all the big government things for Canada-wide, making sure there's an army, things like that. All that goes into taxing. So once they take their money out, those are your deductions. You end up with $1,221.55. For our final example, let's look at calculating a little more some values in here when they start giving percents instead of just giving you the exact amounts. So let's say you earn the same amount as last time, $20 per hour, and you work 80 hours. So your gross income is $20 per hour for 80 hours. You make $1,600. Remember, you don't get that. Now, deductions. The union wants $40. Your company pension is going to put $120 away for later when you retire. Other $15 for gift funds or other little things they're taking money away for. Then the province wants 7% of your income, and the federal government, the Canadian government, wants 12%. So the one important thing I said earlier was not all of your income is always taxable. The government does not get 7% of this, and they don't get 12% of this. Taxable income, so what they're actually going to tax, because remember, this is the tax. They're not going to tax the whole amount. The taxable income is your income minus, so remember from earlier, it's minus the union dues and minus the company pension. So, sorry, this is getting a little, maybe too far out to see. So for this example, what is our taxable income? Before we figure out the tax, those amounts, we have to figure out what's actually being taxed. So our income is $1,600. Union dues are $40. Okay. Company pension plan is $120. So they're actually going to tax, that's $160, 15, so $1,440. So when we take our income minus the union dues minus the company pension, only $1,440 is going to get taxed. So we're looking for 7% of that number. And we're looking for 12% of that number. And we've been working a lot with percents. So we want to find, I'm just going to write this up here. That's our taxable income. What is 7% of 1440? So 7% in decimal form is 0.07 times 1440. And you could also set up your fish technique. I guess 7% is out of 100% is how much out of 1440. Okay, so if you like your fish technique, go ahead and do that. Okay. Or change your percent to a decimal and multiply. So 0.07 times, sorry, my mistake here, 0.07 times 1440. The provincial tax is going to get $100.80. The federal tax is taking 12%. Change the percent to a decimal by moving over 2 spots. And remember, we're only timesing it by the taxable income. So 0.12 times 1440 is $172.80. So now, to calculate my final amount, I have $1,600 minus, I'm going to lose $40 to the union. I'm going to lose $120 to the pension. I'm going to lose $15 to other. I'm going to lose $100.80 to provincial tax. I'm going to lose $172.80 to federal tax. And typically I'd also be losing EI and CPP. I didn't include it in this question though. But if you did, you need to find all your deductions. So I have 5 deductions here. And now to calculate, I have my $1,600 minus all of my deductions. So I'm going to go through these bit by bit and calculate. So I have 1,600 minus 40 minus 120 minus 15 minus $100.80 minus $172.80. My final amount I get is $1,151.40. So, just to review on this question, what's important when you need to find deductions is to calculate taxes, always take off the union dues and the company pension in your taxable income before you calculate how much those are. If you would have taken 7% off the initial $1,600, it would be more. And the government says we're not going to tax you on this money you're not even getting. So they always take only these two, again, only union dues and only company pension plans. So they took those two off, then you can calculate the percents. And once you have all the people who are taking a little bit of your money, take your total minus all those people, and that's the amount you get. So what I'd like you to do for your assignment is to go through all the pages in section 2.4. So when you're done this section, you should be up to page 113. Oh, that's the worst U ever. So up to page 113. And again, one thing that I can't have you practicing in your book, because they didn't put it in the book, is how to calculate these when they don't give you percents. There's these fancy tables where they say, well, if you make this much, look at the table. They'll tell you how much they take without having to calculate it. So we'll work on that a bit in class. And once that's done, you're ready for the test, and then you'll be done chapter 2 and moving on. Okay, good luck. Stay classy, math class.